So what do you think of that episode?
It was lit.
Hey, what's up guys? This is Andrew and welcome back to another Game of Thrones video, and this time we're going to be talking about episode 5, season 8 of Game of Thrones, so check it out. And just for starters, this is actually probably one of my favorite episodes of the season thus far, even more than the Long Night, to be honest with you. And that's just because I like kind of seeing the culmination of Daenerys Targaryen just kind of go insane. I thought that was really interesting, to be honest, and just her character arc has just spiraled out of control now, and I obviously love seeing that. But a lot of the character deaths were not really paid off that well. I'll talk about that later. In terms of Cersei and Jaime, I just thought that whole thing was just kind of whack. So the episode starts out with Varys asking about the queen and her mental well-being, you know, because she had just lost one of her best friends, one of her dragons just died as well, and obviously Varys is plotting against her and trying to get Jon on the Iron Throne. So I think he's writing letters to a lot of like the lords in the realm just to kind of figure out if they're willing to support Jon. And turns out Tyrion is kind of a snitch, so he tells on her, which I wholeheartedly agree with. You know, I mean, Tyrion is her hand, regardless of if they've had a friendship in the past. I feel like it is Tyrion's duty to report those kinds of things to the queen. But even though I was sad, I really did understand where she was coming from, because she did tell him, if you ever betray me, you know, I will light you on fire. So, I mean, it was expected. He was plotting against her, but essentially that doesn't make it any less easier. But after this, essentially, I kind of figured that she was going to go Mad Queen on us. I mean, when Jon and her were talking in their chambers, you know, she said at the end of it, you know, it will be fear then. Because essentially, she has no love from the people of Westeros. So, to her, the only way for people to actually be okay with her ruling is through fear. And I think that is a really crazy foreshadow that I didn't really see like when I watched it the first time, but upon watching it again, it's like I feel like she already made up her mind that she's gonna fucking burn King's Landing to the ground. So after all that's done, you know, they are heading over to King's Landing. Jon and Tyrion are already there chilling, and this is kind of where it gets bad, because these dragons were known to be killed pretty easily in the other episodes and seasons, and for some reason the Greyjoys just cannot get a good shot in. And there's like 100 ships, but for some reason they're all missing their shots, and the dragon is just going full fucking Mortal Kombat mode on everyone. See, I just don't understand, because it's like really inconsistent, because the dragon literally just died. They got head scoped 3 times by like the same fleet, and then now she's weaving and turning and dodging, and that's just because she only has 1 dragon left. So I get that they're not trying to just like kill him like right off the bat, but it's like you got to be more consistent with it. And I don't know, I just feel like the fact that Jon Snow is just so blindly following Daenerys at this point, it's like dumb. And like I said in my other video, it's like so against his character about how he just isn't even thinking. He's just like, you're my queen, really not even thinking about her end motive. It's like she's clearly going off the deep end. But I guess his honor does make a good point, because Jon is a really honorable man, as he got these traits from Ned Stark. So it only makes sense that if he does commit himself to someone, you know, he is going to follow it through to the end. But I don't think he realizes what the fuck he's done, to be honest with you, until he sees how Daenerys is acting and the wildfire she's imposing onto King's Landing. And then we get to King's Landing, and this is where just all hell breaks loose. Now, a lot of people are saying that this is super out of character for Daenerys, but to be honest with you, she's been saying that she wanted to burn down King's Landing since like season 2, and it's just because of her advisors, the fact that she's kind of wanted to make peace. It was up to Tyrion and a lot of her advisors to tell her that, you know, burning King's Landing is not the option, but realistically, I feel like that's what she wanted to do the entire time. So it's really not that out of character for her, and I think they did a good job at just showing her just unwinding in that aspect. Now, that doesn't really make me agree with everything that they did in this episode. I really just like that one aspect of it, but essentially with the whole Jaime and Cersei arc, they kind of backtracked on how Jaime responded to Cersei Lannister. You know, we thought all or we all thought that essentially he was going to go to King's Landing to help everyone, you know, kill Cersei, but essentially he just went straight back to his old ways, which is kind of whack if you think about it. You know, he's had this whole redemption arc, and essentially they just reverted him straight back to where he was before, which is honestly something that I know people are mad about, and me as well, because, you know, like the show writers, I feel like they just didn't know what to do with Jaime Lannister towards the end, and I feel like they don't know what to do with a lot of the characters at the end, because even towards the end, honestly, they make Cersei seem like the good guy and make us kind of sympathize for her until you realize, you know, all the shit that she's done in the past. I don't know. I just feel like if they wanted to make us sympathize with Cersei, you know, they should have done that earlier in the seasons, which just makes no sense to me, honestly. So that's just kind of something that I didn't appreciate. So right now Cersei's looking down on the King's Landing as it's just being burned to shreds, and Qyburn is telling Cersei that everything is kind of going to shit. You know, the Greyjoy fleet is fucked. All the scorpions are gone, which are the things that kill the dragons. And, you know, she's just still stuck in her ways saying, you know, everyone is going to protect me at all costs. And Qyburn's just kind of like, no. So you can see, like, in her head that she thinks she's going to win, even though she sees imminent doom. Like, look at this. You just see Daenerys just fucking shit up, which is just hilarious, how she still thinks she's going to win this somehow. Like, the episode itself looks really good. I mean, like, that's one thing about this season. Like, the cinematography is just unreal. It's just the things that I don't like is just some of the story aspects and just some of the character developments in the actual episodes. So once Daenerys just kind of goes full Mad Queen, I mean, both the armies, the Northmen and the Unsullied, just kind of go like ape shit. So essentially they think it's just free anarchy. Even one Northman is even trying to rape a woman, and Jon Snow interferes and just tells him not to do that, and then inevitably ends up killing him. Now this is important because essentially just because the queen does something, it does mean that the armies do reciprocate. And, you know, Grey Worm has lost Missandei, so essentially he's pretty unhinged right now as well. And another thing that we are all looking forward to is the infamous Clegane Bowl. Now this is a scene that I was actually looking forward to a lot, mainly because Clegane has been talking about killing his older brother since like season 1, I do believe. And essentially when Arya is on her way to kill the queen, he tells her, you know, you don't want to be like me because vengeance is the only thing that's been keeping me alive. And he's like, just look at me. Like, he's gross, and obviously he's been consumed by vengeance towards his older brother. And it's really funny too because Qyburn's like, obey your queen, and the freaking mountain just destroys him. I just think it's funny how just the creation just killed its master, and it was kind of symbolic too, which I really appreciated. But yeah, the battle was pretty nice. I mean, Clegane got some pretty nice hits in there. At one point I thought he was going to lose because he was getting his eye smashed in, kind of like Oberyn did when he was trying to save Tyrion back in like season 4, I do believe. And it's just really symbolic because he was trying to do the exact same thing that he was doing, but inevitably they both end up dying because Clegane ends up, you know, pushing them both out of the window, which I thought was a good ending to them. You know, they're both dying by fire. That's something that Clegane has been scared of since his childhood, and that's kind of where it all started too. So I thought it was really symbolic. Now let's talk about how Jaime and Cersei died. Now, this is kind of the main gripe because Cersei deserves way more than what she just got. You know, she got bricks falling on her, which is just something that's not satisfying as people that have been following the series for the 8 seasons. She's a horrible person, and I've always speculated that she's going to have one of the worst deaths in the show just because of the things that she's done. But just a couple bricks fell on her with Jaime, and although he did, you know, want to die in the arms of the person that he loved, I think this was just a terrible way of doing it, in my opinion. Like, it just felt so rushed and just out of place, and I get what they're trying to do here, just kind of end their story arcs as fast as possible, but it's like, you guys need to just write this better. Like, they could have had Arya or Daenerys, like, burn her alive or something, and I think that a lot of fans would have been really happy with that ending, but instead, the walls just end up collapsing on her and Jaime end up dying together. That's what I say, that like the show writers just don't know what to do with some of the characters towards the end, you know, like they're rushing shit. I feel like they're just like, all right, let's just have her die this way, and that was just like the first thing that they came up with, so they just threw it in the episode. And there's also a scene where Jaime's hugging her, or hugging Cersei, and one of his arms, it's just like a normal arm. And if you know, in the show, Jaime's had his arm cut off, so he only has like a golden arm. And it just kind of shows you that the freaking show writers just are not committed to even looking at their editing after shooting something. Like, this is like the second big thing that's happened in the show, with like the Starbucks cup and then now his arm. And it's just kind of lazy writing, in my opinion, and they really need to just fix it up. Nonetheless, though, I'm excited to see what the season finale. Although the season's not my best, I am still hyped about what's going to happen. And at this point, I don't really care what happens, to be honest with you. I mean, Dany could die for all I care, because I've kind of just stopped liking her. Although I like what they did with her in this episode. She's kind of gone Mad Queen, so I feel like she does just need to die. Like, look at her. She's scaring all these fucking people. It's like, what are you doing? Yeah, like I said, this is not my favorite season by a long shot, and I did start the series back in season 3, so the first couple seasons I was able just to watch right off the bat, but then obviously I had to wait a little bit. But it is just kind of bittersweet, you know, you're not having something to look forward to after next week. I know there is going to be a bonus video in 2 weeks or so. It's not going to be anything new, but I think it's just going to be like a recap video of kind of the entire season and the entire series as a whole. So I am excited for that, guys. If you guys like the video, just please give it a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I will be doing a video for the finale and also doing a reactions video for that. So just stay tuned, guys. If you guys like the video, like I said, just give it a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Cersei's hot.